Avowed is Obsidian Entertainment's first-person fantasy game set in the world of Pillars of Eternity. We finally got our first glimpse of gameplay and it did not disappoint. We also got some juicy info on the story, companions, and combat. So here's all of the bite-sized details from Avowed. So first off, you do not have to play Pillars 1 or Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire to get into Avowed. The story is a complete standalone from the first two games, and while we may not know exactly when it fits in the timeline, it seems you don't have to have any knowledge of the first two games at all to enjoy Avowed. What we do know is the game takes place in Eora in the Living Lands, a location we've never visited but have heard about from the first two isometric games. You'll meet familiar characters from Deadfire, the second in the series, so this could mean the game will take place after Deadfire. Then again, without really knowing the timeline, it's hard to say. As for who you will meet, it is confirmed that companions are a part of the game, one of which is Kai, a coastal Amawa. So in a familiar way to Skyrim, companions will play a major role in adventuring with you. Now, companions were a major feature in both Pillars games as well, as it was a party-based RPG. But as for your main character, here's what we know. You are someone important in the world, which is a staple of the first two Pillars games. While you're not exactly known as a Watcher in Avowed, you are someone who manipulates and deals with souls in some way. Now, a Watcher is a title given to those who could interact with souls and use them to fight in the first two games. But since you're not really known as a Watcher in this game, but can interact with souls, it's kind of weird to not be considered a Watcher. Although maybe you're just going to be known as something else. We'll just have to wait and see. You could fully customize your character in both Pillars games, so doing so in Avowed should be possible as well. However, the trailer only showed the main character in a hood, so maybe you won't be able to at all. Now, you are sent as an envoy of the Aediran Empire to investigate the Living Lands, a plagued wild island in the world of Eora. Now, the main problem here is a soul plague is infecting the island, its people, and creatures. Now, as you investigate the Living Lands and its island, you'll explore the entire game through a first-person perspective. And while the game looks stunning, I do have a problem with that. Now, let alone the fact that I get motion sickness in first-person games, if you can build a custom character, a first-person view doesn't allow you to see them at all. It would just be an odd choice to go from building a custom character in the first two games and then not having the option in this fantastic looking third game. I say all this because Carrie Patel, game director and senior narrative designer at Obsidian Entertainment, said Avowed will have the depth and breadth of creating a character class and you'll get to make it all your own. So, character customization does sound like it might actually be a thing. Now, since there are things such as character classes, weapons, and combat will play an important role as well. You'll be able to dual wield most any weapon from swords to pistols, magic, and other fantasy armaments. The game itself is comparable in size to Knights of the Old Republic 2 and The Outer Worlds. Now keep in mind, both games were not fully open world but had limited explorable areas. Now, Avowed is the same way, and while it isn't fully open world, you can freely explore interconnected zones, and everywhere you see, you'll be able to go. Now, we here at Game Sandwich are extremely excited for Avowed. It's one of Dorian's most anticipated games of 2024, and while we wish a third-person view was possible, perhaps it will be later on, or mods will make it possible after its release. Avowed will be released in 2024. And for all other Avowed news, keep to GameSandwich.com or subscribe here on YouTube.